Hello, everyone, and welcome to ProLine. I'm John Cranton in Las Vegas, joined by Jeff Saad, who runs Las Vegas Sports Services, and Jim Feist. It's the first week of the NFL preseason. Got the Hall of Fame game coming up on Sunday. We're going to take a look at that game, give you some preseason betting tips. But first, Jim, you have loads of free picks, stats, articles, videos, top plays every day at jimfeist.com, as well as a preseason special. Last year with your executive service, 60% for the whole year in college football, 60% in the NFL and those high roller NFL plays, 67% with those personal bests, 70% with personal elite. How can folks get alongside a Vegas handicapper for 4 weeks in August?
Well, first of all, stay tuned to the website the entire year for videos, podcasts, blogs, and we're going to have specials up there all the time. You want to stay tuned to that website because that's going to be the best place for you to win this season. As far as the preseason is concerned, early bird special, NFL football fans, the entire preseason, including the preseason game of the year, $29. Call 1-866-841-1655. That's 1-866-841-1655. $29, the entire preseason, including the game of the year in the preseason.
All right, Jeff, at Las Vegas Sports Services last year, college football, 75-53-1 record for the whole season, 59%, 9-1 with those college games of the month. Your top play in the NFL, those blockbusters. Don't release them very often, but they were 11-1, 92%. And how can folks get aboard Las Vegas Sports Services for August with a special?
You get the entire preseason, all 4 weeks in August, for just $19. Call FSS 1-866-575-8916. You want to get off to a great start this season. This is the way to do it. You have a great preseason. Just call 1-866-575-8916. The entire preseason, just $19 at LVSS.
All right, let's take a look at some preseason betting tips to keep in mind. Jim, we'll start with you. You've been betting and covering games here in Las Vegas longer than anybody in the history of the planet, so why don't you start us off?
Older than Methuselah. That's what you just said, but you didn't say those words.
Knowledge and experience. That's it.
You know, these systems and trends, I don't follow them a lot unless, and this is a big unless, they make sense. Because there's so many of them out there, and some of them make absolutely zero sense. Now, play against a home team off a home win in the preseason if they scored more than 30 points. That makes sense to me. They won the game. They scored 30 points. Usually, especially early in the preseason, they're playing a lot of different people. The rosters are large. Guys that are there that are not going to be there for a long time. They're going to be cut in a couple weeks. The teams are satisfied. The coaches are satisfied. The fans are satisfied. They probably, most likely, covered the spread. So there's a lot been accomplished in that game. The results since 1983, 35-15 ATS. That's a remarkable record. You play against them. Why? Because they're satisfied, and what happens is the odds makers make the price a little bit too high because the fans, the betting public, they don't pay that much attention. What they say, oh, my God, they scored 30 points. They blew that team out, most likely. Sometimes it's a nip-and-tuck game that it won't really matter. But the line goes up in the next game because there's too much weight on them. They're not going to perform generally that way each and every game in the preseason because, they, quite frankly, in the preseason, a lot of the teams, a lot of the players, a lot of the coaches, they don't give a damn. So they make their statement. They go out and perform well. They're going to come back down to earth the next game. And the other team that's coming in, they're getting a couple more points than they should be getting, and they noticed that they're going up against a team that scored 30 points and won their game. So I'm going to bet against them most of the time.
Yeah, and there's a dynamic here that you don't see during the regular season, and that is keeping players healthy that coaches have to bring in. Jeff, what are some preseason betting tips that you can share with viewers?
Well, generally, the coaching strategy in preseason, the first game, they'll play the starters maybe a series or two. Second game, a little bit more. Third game is where most of the starters play for at least three quarters, maybe sometimes the whole game. And then the fourth game of the preseason, there's just mostly players aren't going to make the team in the first place, and that's pretty much the trend. But some coaches, you want to make sure that you be very careful. Some coaches like to win in preseason and some don't care. That's been going back for 50, 60 years. But recently, I think the trend is more to try to win these games, because if you look at the coaches, the 5 coaches this year who have bad preseason records, Ken Whisenhunt, Jim Caldwell, Mike Smith, Joe Philbin, Andy Reid, there's no Super Bowl winners in any of those 5 coaches. But if you take the 5 coaches who have good preseason records, both straight up and against the spread, John Harbaugh, Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll, they've won a total of 8 Super Bowls. So right now, especially Pete Carroll, the guy loves to win anytime he's on the field, doesn't matter when it is. So, and he proved last year that's a winning formula. So right now, I think the trend, and if you want to be successful, is to try to win these games in the preseason, instill that winning attitude in your team, John.
Okay, another thing to keep in mind is home field. And, the home field is a big edge when the games count or in the regular and postseasons, but it can be less important during preseason. Last season, a home team in week 4, that's the week when the coaches are more interested in keeping guys healthy, it was 9-7 straight up, 8-8 against the spread. But 3 years ago, the home team was 7-9, 6-10 against the spread in week 4. And then there was a stretch right before that, a 4-year stretch, where the visiting team in week 4 went 29-17-1 against the spread. And you can understand why. The odds makers can have a tendency to overvalue the home field in week 4 because there's very little else to go by. And many times teams are using a lot of their backups. Coaches just want to stay healthy and get out. So visiting teams historically have done very well in week 4 of that preseason. All right, Jim, how about some other trends up your sleeve?
Well, NFL teams off a shutout loss. A year ago, the Packers were shut out at home in week 1, 17-0 by Arizona. Next week, they won and covered 19-7 at the Rams. Since 1983, teams that have been blanked in the preseason went 33-24 straight up, 33-23 ATS the following game. Again, logically, they didn't perform well in the first game. They have something to accomplish for the coaches, their fans, their family, their friends, whatever. And they might put up a little bit more of an effort. Plus, the betting public generally looks at that other game and say, hey, they stunk last week against Arizona. I'm going to bet against them this week because, the Rams are going to kick their butt. Not so much. Didn't happen. So, again, logic. Don't follow that one-game effort and look for it to continue in that direction. Usually teams bounce back, coaching staffs bounce back because they want to secure their jobs, they want to sell tickets, they want the fans to believe in the team as well. So logically speaking, it's not as good as the first one, but it's still a winning edge, 60%.
Well, Jeff, we touched a little bit on a quarterback play and rotations, one of the unique things about preseason. And what are some of the things that you look for with QBs?
Yeah, one of the good things about preseason is that usually the coach will tell you who's going to play in the game. He'll say this guy's going to play 2 series, the next guy's going to come in for a quarter. So it's very important to get as much information as you can beforehand, especially with coaches and their quotes. You want to make sure that you have the quarterback rotation. If there's a big drop off in quarterback of the Giants or Eli Manning, he never misses a regular season game. So the backups hardly ever play. And so when they get in the preseason, they have very little experience. And not only that, a lot of times they're playing against second and third string offensive linemen. So it's very important to know the quarterback rotations. And if you have an experienced guy in number 2 and even sometimes number 3, it could be a big factor in the game, John.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at some coaches. I mean, coaching is such an important part of football. You got so many players that need to be organized. They need to be taught various roles each week. Some coaches are more demanding in preseason while others are more laid back. Bill Belichick's Patriots last year had a good preseason, 3-1 straight up and against the spread. That's part of a run for him now, 39-29 straight up in preseason, 38-29-1 against the spread. We're looking at who are the better coaches. Well, Pete Carroll, 22-10-1 against the spread, as Jeff mentioned. And then even Jeff Fisher, he's been around a long time. He's with the Rams now. A winning spread record of 36-33-3 against the spread in preseason. And Tom Coughlin with the Giants, 37-32-4 against the spread. Who would the worst be? Well, I'm sorry, Jeff, but Jim Caldwell, the new coach up there in the Lions, he's only 4-8 against the spread in preseason. Joe Philbin down there in Miami, 1-8 against the spread. And Ken Whisenhunt, 7-16-2 against the spread.